Hey everybody. In preparation for Veterans Day, I thought I'd look for a picture of my dad as a veteran, and I stumbled across a photo album that Dad had put together before his death, and most of these pictures I had never seen. So bear with me a little bit. This is a little veteran tribute to my father, George T. Culbertson Jr., and just bear with me. Some really neat stuff. He started out his pre-military career at Manlius Military Academy in, I think it's Manlius, New York, and where he was a stud football player and basketball player. But let's get to the meat of this thing. He was sworn into the military in 1943, June 19th, and he was an apprentice seaman with the Navy. Later in 45, he was an ensign, and we'll go through this pretty quick, but he went through the V-12 program, which was an officer's training program, and it was at Cornell University. And I really found this stuff really interesting. And we also have a mixture of some local pictures that I'm going to try to find some of the relatives of some of the local people in here too. And he was on the swim team at the University of Pennsylvania. And growing up, my dad and the Uphams, Brad and I think it was Steve Upham, they had cottages up in Lake Michigan, and they were in the water all summer long, and he was an avid swimmer. And they used to have contests to see who could hold their breath the longest. And that swimming and being able to hold his breath led to a later part of his military career, which I'll talk about here in a little bit. Locals, my Aunt Joanne, which I'm going to do a thing on her. She was actually the first female high school letter winner at Mount Vernon, Ginny Seavolt. Let's get back to the military. Weekend leave in Washington, D.C. in 1945. Then he went to Fort Schuyler, New York for more training. And here he is on leave back at Mount Vernon at the old Vernon Theater on the square in Mount Vernon, and he's speaking to some draftees about the military. And here's a local, Ruth Harris Wiley Cassidy, good friend of the family. And she's still, I believe she lives in Florida. She's 95, I just found out. Let's see. All right. Here he is now as an ensign. But some of the more interesting parts of his military career, let's see. Bear with me here. Okay, 1945, he was sent to Fort Pierce, Florida for training in the secret mission and secret group called the UDT SEALs, or UDTs, Underwater Demolition Team, later known as the SEALs. And here's a couple articles here about, they called them the Suicide Corps in the Pacific, and it was a secret mission, and they were not, even their parents didn't know what they were studying or practicing or training to be. And here's some of the training at Fort Pierce in Florida for the underwater demolition. And I've got some extra pictures that I'm going to attach of some of these up close. And then he took, in 1945, he took the USS Comet to Guam. And here's some pictures from Guam. Here's Japanese prisoners of war doing work on the base. And this I've got a close-up picture of Bill Liebarger from Mount Vernon, a friend of my dad's. He was cut down by machine gun fire in a tank. And I'm going to try to find his relatives and get him this picture. But this is his grave in Guam. And here's Art Packard Jr. and my dad in Guam, and there's Art again. And Art was stationed in Guam as a quartermaster, and later was second generation in running the Hotel Curtis, and he was known as Scorch Packard because of his red hair. Here's a B-50, no, here's a B-50, B-26 bomber Dad had to hitch a ride on. But he did serve in Guam as a UDT Navy SEAL. Went to New Zealand, was involved in transporting, at the end of the war, transporting prisoners of war in back to Japan. And here is actually, and I've got a close-up picture of this attached. This is the beach in Guam that Bill Liebarger was cut down. He was trapped in a tank under heavy fire and got out and was machine gun fire took him out. But just tremendous pictures. I'm going to spend a lot more time learning about this and getting pictures of any locals of local interest, and see if the local veterans office would like some copies of some of these pictures. And then here's a completely different thing that Dad was involved with, and this was the atomic bomb test in the Bikini Atoll. And this I'm going to do some research on. These stamps are canceled, and there was only a small number of them. U.S. Navy Fleet Post Office, July 1, 46. Atomic bomb test, Bikini Atoll. And inside this envelope is the letters that he wrote home to my grandparents about the atomic bomb test. And a few days after, they were actually on the island and swimming in the water where the atomic bomb went off. I've always wondered, and he wondered, if they were like test subjects to follow their health the rest of their life, because he did get a pituitary tumor, and they wonder if it was from that. But just some cool stuff, and a lot of cool local pictures in here too. So I'm going to study it more, but I thought I would just share a little bit on this Veterans Day. I'm proud of my dad, and I'm proud of anybody who has served. And we don't need just a Veterans Day to thank people, our veterans. And if you're still lucky enough, blessed enough to have anybody from the greatest generation, the World War II generation, or the Korean War veterans, if they'll tell you about it, because like many of them, Dad never shared any of this with me, never talked about it. I just knew that he was an underwater demolition team guy and didn't learn much more about it. So if you see a vet today or anytime, thank them. Try to hear their stories, and if you can capture these old pictures from them, let's don't lose them. Let's never forget our history, contrary to what some people are trying to rewrite our history. Hey, take care, everybody. This was just kind of a little extra thing. Thanks for bearing with me, and to the Packards and the Liebargers and whoever else I find in here, I will try to get you copies of these pictures. If anybody knows who the relatives are of Bill Liebarger, I definitely want to find them and get them pictures of his grave and the beach where he was shot. Take care, everybody. Thank you, veterans, all of you. God bless.